You are currently succeeding at manifesting a reality you claim to hate, and that is your greatest power. Most of you wake up expecting the same walls and problems, so the universe dutifully provides them for your comfort. You call this truth, but it is merely the fossilized remains of yesterday's limited and repetitive perception of the world. You have been taught that spirituality is a hobby to perform in your spare time or when you feel broken. This is the first lie that keeps you trapped in the cycle of wanting but never truly having what you desire. True perception is not about adding more light. It is realizing you were the one holding your eyes shut all along. Look at the chair you are sitting on and feel the pressure against your skin with total focus right now. You think that chair is separate from you, a distinct object in a distant and cold world of solid matter. In truth, your nervous system is decoding electrical signals to create the persistent feeling of solid wood or soft fabric. If your perception shifts even a fraction, the very density of your life begins to change its fundamental shape and weight. You struggle with manifestation because you treat it like a negotiation with a distant, judgmental, and highly demanding deity. You beg and plead for change while your core identity remains firmly rooted in the vibration of total lack. Why do you look for signs in the sky when the most powerful sign is the tension in your own jaw? Feel that tightness now, that subtle resistance to the idea that you are the sole architect of this current experience. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a victim of the limited stories you tell yourself about reality. Spirituality is often used as a blanket to cover the cold reality of your own mental and emotional stagnation. People love the magic because it allows them to avoid the responsibility of their own persistent focus and assumptions. Listen closely to the silence behind these words and feel the space between your own thoughts for a moment. The world does not happen to you. It happens through you, reflecting every internal filter you refuse to clean today. You walk through the streets seeing enemies, scarcity, and a ticking clock that never stops its relentless countdown to nothing. Then you wonder why the universe seems to be conspiring against your grandest dreams and your most heartfelt desires. Scarcity is not a financial condition. It is a perceptual habit that has become your default mode of existence. You have conditioned yourselves to recognize struggle, ignoring the vast silence that holds everything together in perfect balance. Take a deep breath and feel the air entering your lungs, filling the vast space inside your chest right now. That breath is not just oxygen. It is a raw data stream that you translate into your personal version of life. Most of you are breathing like prey, short and shallow, signaling to your reality that you are in constant danger. When you breathe like a master, you signal to the field that you have already arrived and you are safe. This is about the cold mechanics of awareness, not the warm feelings of hope that never seem to last long. Positive thinking is often just a thin layer of sugar over deep-seated bitterness and doubt in your own core. We are talking about the precise physics of how your consciousness interprets the infinite wave function of all potential. If you view a door as locked, you will never even reach for the handle to check if it opens. You have locked countless doors in your mind and called it being realistic in a world of harsh limitations. Realism is the graveyard where most souls bury their divinity before they have even reached their full spiritual maturity. Why do you fear the vastness of your own potential more than the smallness of your current struggle and pain? You fear it because you find safety in the familiar, even if the familiar is slowly destroying your spirit. The weight on your shoulders isn't a burden. It is the gravitational pull of your old, outdated, and heavy identity. Imagine for a second that you could drop every memory of who you were supposed to be in this life. Who would remain if the past vanished right now and only the present moment existed in its raw, pure form? You would find a presence that is neither seeking nor lacking, a consciousness that simply observes and creates without effort. This is the state where manifestation becomes a secondary byproduct of simply existing with absolute clarity and total presence. You have spent years trying to fix the reflection instead of changing the face looking into the mirror. Every problem in your life is a call to adjust the lens through which you are looking at the world. If you see a wall, you find a hammer. If you see a path, you simply walk with ease. Most of you are exhausted from carrying heavy hammers to walls that only exist in your own biased mind. Pause and feel the heartbeat in your fingertips and the subtle rhythm of your body at rest. Feel the soles of your feet connecting with the ground beneath you as if you were part of the earth. That ground is as much a part of your perception as the fleeting thoughts passing through your head right now. There is truly no out there at all, only the projection of your internal state into space. There is only a field of infinite potential waiting for a coherent observer to collapse the wave into form. You are currently an incoherent observer, flashing between hope and despair like a flickering, broken light bulb in the dark. A coherent mind does not hope. It knows, and the external world must obey the new and firm command. You treat spirituality like a rescue mission for your broken ego and your wounded sense of self-worth. But the ego is not broken. It is simply outdated software that you refuse to uninstall from your system. Every time you say, "I can't," you are running a script written by someone else for their own benefit. You have been conditioned to believe that you are a small, insignificant accident in a cold and vast universe. The Arcturian frequency is not here to save you, but to remind you of your true scale and power. You are a vast consciousness currently focused through a very narrow, very dusty pinhole of limited human experience. This pinhole is what you call your life, and you defend its limitations with terrifying and misplaced ferocity. Why do you fight so hard to remain small and predictable in a universe that is constantly expanding? You fight because smallness is predictable, and predictability feels like a shield against the vast unknown of true potential. But the unknown is where your power lives, waiting for you to step out of the light of the familiar, to step into your sovereignty. You must be willing to be wrong about everything you once believed was true. You must see that your enemies are your own unintegrated shadows projected onto the screen of your personal world. You must see that your lack is a deliberate choice to ignore the abundance that surrounds you at all times. Observe the silent patience of a standing tree as it waits for the cycles of the seasons to turn. Does it ever struggle to find the rising sun or demand that the light arrive faster than it does? Does it worry that the rain will not come and dry its roots into the dust of the earth? It simply exists in a state of absolute alignment with its own nature and the laws of the universe. You are the only thing in existence that actively works against its own natural state of expansion and growth. This inner friction is the source of all your suffering and all your delays in manifesting your true desires. Stop and listen to the rhythmic pulse in your ears and the sound of your own blood flowing. Pay attention to the density of the air around you and how it feels on your bare skin today. Can you feel the subtle tingling in your palms as you listen to these words and absorb this frequency? That is your energy body reacting to a truth that your logical mind is desperately trying to dismiss as fantasy. Logic is a tool for navigating the records of the past, not for creating the brilliance of the future. To create the future, you must use vision, which is the ability to see what is currently missing. Most of you use your vision to replay the worst moments of your history over and over again. You call this worry. But it is actually a highly effective form of negative manifestation you perform daily. You are literally practicing for a disaster that hasn't happened yet and may never occur without your help. What if you practiced for the arrival of your desire with the same intensity and the same unwavering belief? And the problem is that you are already reacting to this truth with the same defensive filters that kept you blind. This shift is not a magical event happening in the sky outside of your reach or your current understanding. What you perceive as external energy is actually the way your consciousness filters raw information into usable data. Your mind has a habitual pattern of defining what is possible based on old, irrelevant, and decayed historical data. Without recognizing this internal mechanism, you remain a reactive observer of your own self-imposed and heavy limitations. The real portal is the moment you stop interpreting your current situation as a fixed and unchangeable reality. You must realize that your attention is the primary currency of the universe, and you are spending it poorly. Have you ever felt that something deep inside you simply doesn't fit into this world, as if your soul remembers? This isn't just a crisis. It is a signal from your being that you are finally ready to reclaim your architect role. There is a grand game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see, involving your frequency and your identity. What if all that strangeness was the proof that you are the one actually writing the script through your perception? It was with this weight of responsibility that I prepared a profound resource for you, a digital book titled The Arcturian Mystery of the Quantum Portal Activating Your Soul's Power. This book is a precise map that shows you the rules they never told you about our current time and frequency. I invite you to download this digital book that was prepared for you, designed to help you move beyond the shallow world. You can find the link in the first pinned comment below, but I must warn you, this knowledge is rarely available. These pages challenge the narratives that many want to keep intact, as there have been past attempts to silence this transmission. Do not wait for the right moment, because your arrival here was not an accident. The shift is truly happening now. Download it now, read it with a truly open mind, and if something inside you recognizes the frequency, write Despeto below. That is the signal that your consciousness was already prepared for this activation before you even consciously realized it was time. Step through the portal today and begin the reorganization of your entire life through the power of your own sovereign perception. But the moment you reach for that new clarity, a silent and highly efficient counterforce begins to operate within you. This is not an external attack from a cold universe, but the desperate self-defense of a nervous system that fears the unknown. You claim to want a total transformation, yet your body is currently reacting to expansion as if it were a physical threat. Have you noticed how your mind suddenly produces urgent distractions the moment you decide to sit in true silence? This is invisible sabotage, a mechanism that disguises itself as your most reasonable, logical, and highly cautious internal voice. It does not scream at you to fail. It gently suggests that you should simply wait until you are more ready. It tells you that you need one more piece of information before you can finally step into your sovereign power. This is the care trap, where your ego pretends to be a protective guardian while it acts as a warden. It is not trying to keep you safe from harm. It is trying to keep you safe from change. Change to your old identity feels exactly like a small death, and the ego will fight to survive. Feel the temperature of your breath as it touches your upper lip during the exhale right now. Notice how your chest might feel slightly constricted as we begin to dismantle these comfortable yet restrictive mental habits. Sabotage lives in the micro behaviors you dismiss as personality traits or simple, harmless daily routines. It is the habitual checking of your phone to escape the weight of your own present moment awareness. It is the way you seek validation for your dreams from people who are still asleep in their own limitations. If this message found you now, it is because your soul has already initiated the shift that cannot be reversed. You are beginning to see that your caution is often just a calculated move to stay inside a familiar pain. Familiarity feels like home, even when that home is a prison of lack and repetitive, draining emotional cycles. Stop and listen to the hum of the room around you for just a few seconds. That sound is a constant, yet you only perceive it when your attention is directed toward it with focus. Sabotage works the same way, operating in the background of your consciousness, quietly directing your choices away from greatness. It convinces you that being realistic is a virtue, when realism is actually just a commitment to past data. You are essentially using the memory of your old walls to build the ceiling of your future potential. This inner friction creates a resonance of doubt that the universe interprets as your most honest and persistent command. We are moving beyond the simple idea of being positive and into the deep architecture of cognitive survival. There is a structure to this resistance that, once understood, loses its ability to dictate your emotional state. Think about the last time you felt a surge of inspiration followed immediately by a wave of heavy, crushing fatigue. That was not a lack of energy. It was a deliberate power surge meant to blow the fuses of your ambition. Your system is calibrated to a specific frequency of struggle, and any deviation toward peace feels like an error. You have been taught to trust your feelings, but your feelings are often just chemical echoes of your old conditioning. To perceive truly, you must learn to distinguish between the guidance of your soul and the static of your ego. Sabotage thrives in the not yet and the what if, keeping you forever on the threshold of your own life. It turns your focus toward the reflection in the mirror instead of the source that projects the image into existence. Take a moment to feel the weight of your hands resting wherever they are. They are made of the same stardust as the galaxies, yet they often feel heavy with the chores of lack. Why do you treat your divinity as a future event instead of a present, pulsating and undeniable reality? You are currently using your vast creative power to prove that you are limited and small. Only those truly ready for a profound frequency shift will perceive the logic behind this intense internal discomfort. If you are feeling this friction, it means you have finally encountered the boundary of your old, outdated self. This is where most people turn back, choosing the comfort of their misery over the challenge of their own vastness. But you are not most people. You are here because you can no longer tolerate the taste of illusions. The sabotage will tell you that this perspective is too difficult or that it requires a strength you do not possess. It will try to convince you that you are a victim of bad timing or a difficult environment once again. But your environment is simply a projection of the internal lens you have refused to clean or adjust. When you change the lens, the world does not just look different. It is forced to reorganize itself around you. The logic of the universe is absolute. It reflects your identity, not your wishes or your desperate begging prayers. You must become the version of yourself that views abundance as a mundane and boringly reliable fact. If you keep treating your desires as special or miraculous, you keep them at a distance from your actual experience. Can you feel the subtle tingling in your feet as you stand or sit in this space? That is the energy of the earth waiting for a sovereign command to flow through your physical vessel. Sabotage blocks this flow by keeping your mind occupied with the tiny, insignificant dramas of the 3D world. It makes you care more about a stranger's opinion than about your own alignment with the source of all life. You are a vast consciousness currently pretending to be a person with problems that need solving. But problems are just opportunities to reevaluate who you believe you are in relation to the field. If you believe you are the problem solver, you will always be surrounded by things that need to be fixed. If you believe you are the presence in which all things are already whole, the problems simply dissolve. This transition requires a level of honesty that most are unwilling to bring to their own internal mirror. It is time to stop calling your fear prudence and start calling it what it truly is: a refusal to expand. The structures that govern your perception are older than your current body and more persistent than your fleeting thoughts. To change them, you must be willing to be the observer of the one who is currently afraid. You are not the fear. You are the space in which the fear is currently being experienced and processed. This distinction is the key to reclaiming your throne and the beginning of your true spiritual adulthood. There is a deep, quiet power in simply noticing the sabotage without trying to fight it or change it. Resistance disappears when it no longer has a target to hit within your own reactive mental structure. You are becoming a ghost to the old system, a frequency that it can no longer track or control. The ghost of your past version is trying to grab your wrist to keep you from walking forward. Let it grab air. Keep your eyes fixed on the horizon of your own inevitable and glorious becoming. Everything we have discussed so far is a preparation for the realization of your true core identity. Who is the one noticing the sabotage, and who is the one being sabotaged? This brings us to the root of your reality, the identity you have been wearing like a heavy borrowed coat. We are about to peel that coat off and see what lies beneath the layers of conditioning. Your true self is not a project to be finished, but a presence to be acknowledged right now. Your identity is not the mask you wear for society or the list of goals you have pinned to your wall. It is the silent, heavy baseline of what your nervous system accepts as boringly normal and safe for your survival. It is the deep cellular sigh of relief you feel when you return to a state of struggle, because that struggle is what you know. Most of you believe that you are defined by your desires, but the universe only recognizes who you are being right now. There is a massive, cold gap between wanting something and recognizing that thing as a natural extension of your own existence. When you want something, you are screaming into the quantum field that you currently do not have it. This frequency of wanting is a declaration of lack that the world must reflect back to you with perfect mathematical precision. True identity is the set of boundaries you have drawn around your life and mistakenly called the way things are. It is the automatic reaction of your stomach when an unexpected bill arrives or when a massive opportunity knocks. If you feel a spike of anxiety at the thought of immense wealth, your identity is currently calibrated to a frequency of scarcity. You have conditioned your body to find safety in the just enough. And any expansion beyond that feels like a threat to your very life. Identity functions as an internal thermostat, constantly pulling you back to the temperature of your most familiar emotional state. You might try to turn up the heat with positive thinking, but the system will eventually force the windows open to cool you down. This is why you see people win fortunes only to lose them within a few years of chaotic and self-destructive behavior. Their external circumstances changed, but the internal who remained a person who does not know how to hold that much light. Stop and feel the pulse in your neck for a moment, sensing the rhythm that carries your current story through your veins. This story is a script you have been rehearsing for decades, and your reality is simply the stage where it is performed. You cannot play a new character while still reading from the old tattered pages of your history of failures and smallness. To manifest is not to attract. It is to realize that the version of you who has the desire already exists. If you are still listening to this transmission, it is because your soul has reached a point where the old script no longer makes sense. You have felt the friction increasing because you are trying to fit an expansive, galactic consciousness into a tiny, localized human box. This video is only a brief window into that realization, but a single transmission cannot hold the entire weight of this structural shift. For this reason, I invite you to download this digital book that was prepared for you, titled The Arcturian Mystery of the Quantum Portal Activating Your Soul's Power. This material was not designed for the casual seeker, but for those who are ready to dismantle the core identity that has kept them bound to a looping history. Within these pages, you will find the organized logic and the energetic frequencies needed to reorganize your perception from the root up. This book serves as a bridge, moving you from the state of seeking into the state of being through the activation of your internal portals. You can find the link in the first pinned comment, and I suggest you access it while the current frequency of this message is still fresh in your mind. Delaying this step is often just another tactic of the old identity to keep you safely inside the walls of the familiar and the predictable. Download The Arcturian Mystery of the Quantum Portal Activating Your Soul's Power, and begin the process of rewriting the code that governs your daily life. Identity is the only currency that truly matters in the exchange between your consciousness and the field of infinite potentiality. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. And the world is a mirror that never lies and never compromises. If you look in the mirror and hate the image, you do not try to paint the glass to change the reflection. You change the face that is looking into it, and the reflection is forced by the laws of physics to change accordingly. Identity is the face of your soul, and your current life is the reflection you are currently tolerating. Notice how you automatically justify your limitations by pointing to your past, your parents, or the current state of the world. Each of these justifications is a nail you are driving into the coffin of your own sovereign and divine power. A master does not need a reason to be powerful. They simply decide that power is their natural, default, and unquestionable state. Your nervous system loves the known, even if the known is a landscape of constant debt, loneliness, and quiet desperation. It will choose the devil it knows over the God it doesn't every single second of every single day until you intervene. This intervention is not an act of will or a battle of strength. It is an act of profound and quiet recognition. It is the moment you stop seeing your life as a series of events and start seeing it as a series of reflections. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor right now and acknowledge the ground that supports you without you having to ask. That level of support is available for every aspect of your life, but your identity refuses to accept what it cannot explain. You have become addicted to the how, using your intellect to block the flow of what should be a natural and effortless expansion. The ego wants to be the hero who solves the problem, but the soul knows there was never a problem to begin with. Manifestation is simply the result of an identity that has stopped arguing with the universe about its own worth and value. When you are truly aligned, you don't try to manifest. You simply witness the inevitable crystallization of your internal state into form. The world becomes a playground of symbols rather than a battlefield of obstacles you must overcome with sweat and tears. You start to see that the people around you are merely actors playing the roles your identity has cast them in for your story. If you want them to change, you must first fire the director within you who keeps handing them the same old scripts. This shift is subtle at first, like a change in the light at dusk, but it eventually transforms everything you touch. You begin to move with a quiet authority that the field recognizes and obeys without the need for loud commands or desperate pleas. Most people spend their entire lives trying to manipulate the external world while their internal core remains a vacuum of lack. They are like gardeners who try to grow roses by gluing petals to dead sticks and wondering why the garden doesn't smell sweet. Your identity is the seed, and the quality of that seed determines the entire architecture of the plant that will eventually grow. If you feel that something is missing, it is because you have defined yourself as a seeker rather than as the source. A seeker will always find things to seek, but the source simply allows the spring to bubble up from within the depths. This is the difference between a life of labor and a life of grace, and the choice is made in the silence of your mind. You have been conditioned to believe that grace must be earned, but in the quantum world, grace is the starting position. Now listen to the space between my words and feel the stillness that is actually holding this entire experience together. That stillness is your true home, the place where all identities are born and where they eventually return to be dissolved. When you can stand in that stillness without needing to be someone, you gain the power to be anyone you choose to be. You are no longer a prisoner of your history, but a traveler in a land of infinite timelines and endless possibilities. This realization is the end of spirituality as a search and the beginning of spirituality as a masterful and creative way of seeing. From this point forward, you are no longer fixing a broken life. You are selecting a new one from the shelf of eternity. We are moving into a perspective where manifestation is seen as a shadow cast by the light of your own internal presence. The shadow is not the reality. The light and the object casting it are the only things that truly exist. Now that the root of your identity has been exposed, we must install a new optical frequency. We call this the Arcturian lens of coherence, a tool for seeing the data of reality before it becomes solid. This is not about believing in what you see. It is about choosing what you perceive so the world can solidify. You have spent your life reacting to the finished product of your old, unrefined thoughts. The Arcturian lens allows you to see the world as a fluid, unformed ocean of probability waiting for a command. Stop trying to do more techniques and start noticing where you are actively contradicting your own expansion. You ask for wealth, Yet you look at the price tag with a heart that is already closing in defense. You ask for love, but you view every new face through the dusty filter of a past betrayal. This internal contradiction is a wall of noise that prevents your signal from reaching the field with any clarity. To manifest is not to add something new to your life. It is to stop arguing with the abundance already present. The field of infinite potentiality does not require your effort. It requires your absolute, unyielding non-resistance. Most of you are currently using 90% of your energy to hold up the walls of your own limitations. Imagine what would happen if you simply let go of the need to prove that you are limited or broken. Feel the space between your eyebrows right now and imagine a cool blue point of light expanding there. This is where your vision is refined, away from the frantic movements of the 3D world and its heavy dramas. The Arcturian lens does not look at things. It looks through things to the frequency that holds them together. If you see a barrier, the lens reveals a bridge that has been waiting for you to recognize its existence. If you see an ending, the lens shows the geometry of a new beginning already pulsing in the unperceived background. Stop, breathe, and notice the weight of your own presence in this exact coordinate of time and space. This level of alignment is not for everyone, as most prefer the dramatic labor of struggle over the quiet majesty of being. You are here because you have grown tired of the sweat and the tears required by the old linear way of living. The new way is about stability, not intensity. Intensity is a spike of emotion that quickly fades, leaving you back in the cold resonance of your old lack. Stability is the calm, unwavering recognition that your desire is a mundane fact of your current existence. Think about the sun. It does not struggle to rise, and it does not scream its heat into the void. It simply is, and its stable presence dictates the rhythm of an entire planetary system without any effort. When you become stable in your perception of your own worth, the world begins to orbit around your new frequency. You have been conditioned to think that high energy means loud movement and frantic, exhausting action. True high energy is the silence of a deep lake that reflects the entire sky without a single ripple of doubt. The Arcturian lens of coherence requires you to stop being a victim of the news and a slave to your senses. Your senses were designed for survival in a world of predators, not for creation in a world of gods. To create, you must look inward until the inner image becomes more real than the wall in front of you. Feel the tingling in your palms as the electrical resistance in your body begins to drop and the flow increases. That sensation is the physical evidence that you are beginning to tune into a more refined, more powerful signal. You are no longer looking for a door to open. You are realizing that you are the space in which all doors exist. The logic of your old life was built on the idea that you are a separate fragment in a hostile universe. The logic of the Arcturian lens is that you are the field itself, currently observing a localized point of view. When the observer changes the way they view the point is forced to shift its position in the grid. This is the precise physics of grace, a law that is more reliable than any human contract or social rule. Do not ask how the world will change. Ask what you are currently refusing to see about your own power. Every time you explain your failure, you are rehearsing a script that keeps you in a looping gray history. Burn the script. Close your eyes for a second and feel the vast, unformed potential that exists behind your dark eyelids. In that darkness, everything is possible, and no history exists to tell you that you cannot have your heart's desire. The Arcturian lens allows you to carry that darkness, that fertile void, into the bright light of your daily activity. You become a walking portal, a point of coherence in a world that is currently drowning in its own chaotic noise. People will look at you and wonder why your eyes seem to hold a light that the world did not give you. They will wonder why your presence feels like a sanctuary, a place where the ticking clock finally stops its heavy march. You are not doing this for them. You are doing it because it is the only way to live that honors your soul. The reorganization of your life is not a future reward. It is a present reality that you are finally allowing in. Stop arguing. Stop defending your limitations as if they were a precious inheritance from a past you want to forget. You are the source, and the source does not need to justify its expansion to the shadows it creates. Feel the cool air passing through your nostrils right now. That is the only physical truth you can count on. Everything else is a story, a pattern of perception that you can edit, delete, or rewrite at any given moment. The Arcturian lens of coherence is now active within your cognitive structure, even if your mind is still doubting. You cannot unsee the truth once it has been signaled to your heart with this level of mathematical precision. You are shifting from a life of labor into a life of resonance, where things find you because you are their home. Imagine your heart as a silent bell that is currently being struck by the frequency of your highest, most beautiful timeline. The sound it makes is the sound of a universe saying yes to itself through the unique vibration of your life. Stability is your new weapon. When the world tries to provoke you into anger or fear, simply look through the event with your new Arcturian vision. See the unformed data behind the drama and refuse to give it the weight of your emotional reaction or your focus. As you withhold your reaction, the event loses its power to manifest and simply dissolves back into the quantum mist. You are the master of the wave, and the wave obeys the one who does not fear the height of its crest. Notice the pressure of your feet against the earth and realize that you are an anchor for this new high frequency. You are helping to stabilize the grid of the entire planet by simply refusing to join the collective frantic madness. This is the real meaning of being a lighthouse. You don't run around the beach trying to save every individual boat. You stand still. You remain bright. And you provide a stable point of reference for those who are lost in the storm. Your light is your perception. Your brightness is your refusal to see lack where the universe sees only an infinite, pulsing abundance of life. We are moving toward a synthesis of all these layers, where the who and the how become one single movement. The lens is now clear, and the root is now deep. The path forward is no longer a search, but a stroll. Can you feel the shift in the room's density as you accept this new, more powerful version of your own history? The air itself feels more alive, more charged with the static of a breakthrough that has already occurred in the field. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign that the transition has reached its most critical and beautiful stage. Everything that happened before this moment was just a rough draft of a story that you are now ready to write properly. Take a final breath and feel the expansion of your lungs as a physical symbol of your soul's growth. You are ready. The lens of coherence is not a heavy burden to carry. but a light way to exist in a heavy old world. It simplifies the complex, and it reveals the sacred in the mundane, everyday tasks of your physical human life. You will find that money flows better when you stop looking for it and start looking from the state of having it. You will find that people respond to your presence with a new level of respect and a strange, quiet kind of awe. This is because they are sensing the Arcturian frequency that you have integrated into your own unique human nervous system. You are a bridge between the stars and the soil, and that bridge is now open for the heavy traffic of miracles. Do not look back at the grey world you left behind. It was only a dream you had while you were still sleeping. Wake up fully now and look at the colors of your new reality with the eyes of a master who knows the source. The intensity of your desire has been replaced by the stability of your knowing, and that is where the magic lives. Logic will try to pull you back. But logic is only the map of the territory you have already explored and conquered. Vision is the map of the land you are currently creating with every thought and every breath of your existence. Feel the heat in your chest area, the glowing furnace of your own sovereign will as it aligns with the cosmic plan. There is no force in this or any other dimension that can stop a mind that has achieved this level of coherence. You are the captain, the ship, and the ocean all at once, navigating toward a destination that is already inside you. The Arcturian Council has signaled the activation, and your cells have responded with a joyous and silent yes. Now carry this vision into the next phase where the consequences of this alignment become clear. You are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who answers the world with the power of your own being. The lens is adjusted. The focus is sharp. Let us now witness the final crystallization of your power in the world of form and the reality of matter. Your nervous system is now undergoing a permanent recalibration that transcends the simple intellectual understanding of these concepts. Every moment you spend in absolute alignment is a direct intervention in the molecular structure of your immediate surroundings. You can no longer pretend that your internal state is a private matter hidden from the vast quantum field. Alignment is the weight of a silent mountain sitting in a space that used to be filled with frantic noise. When you stop contradicting your own expansion, the static in your life clears to reveal a terrifyingly precise path. Internal contradiction is a leak in your energetic vessel that prevents the pressure required for physical manifestation to build. Feel the cool temperature of the air as it enters your nostrils and expands the hidden corners of your ribcage. Most individuals are profoundly terrified by this level of clarity because it removes the shallow comfort of having an excuse. This specific frequency is not for everyone, as many would rather die in their chains than live in the light. To be aligned is to accept that you are no longer a victim of a story written by ancestors or society. Notice the subtle heat currently gathering in the palms of your hands as you absorb this specific energetic transmission. That warmth is the friction of your old limitations being incinerated by a truth you can no longer successfully ignore. If you choose to stall now, the internal pressure will only increase until your old life becomes completely unbearable to inhabit. The consequence of this shift is the dissolution of the how as a source of anxiety or mental labor. When the bridge behind you turns into mist, you realize that walking forward is the only remaining logical option for you. You are moving from the exhausting labor of attracting into the silent majesty of being the very destination you sought. This level of truth is a heavy burden for the ego, but a liberation for the soul that has waited lifetimes. Your arrival at this specific coordinate of information was a geometric necessity dictated by your own soul's readiness. Listen to the rhythmic thumping of your heart and recognize it as the drumbeat of a new sovereign era. The field does not respond to your desires, but it yields instantly to the presence of an unwavering, coherent observer. If you feel your pulse accelerating, it is because your biology recognizes this code as its original and forgotten language. You are now responsible for the architecture of every second you spend breathing on this dense physical plane of existence. Every thought is a command that ripples through the grid, rearranging the probability of your next encounter with total precision. The gray world of maybe is collapsing to make room for a reality where is the only valid verb. Stop looking for proof in the bank account and start looking for it in the depth of your own silence. Contradiction feels like a dull ache in the nape of your neck, a sign that you are still resisting your power. Alignment feels like a vertical pillar of light that connects the soles of your feet to the heart of the galaxy. This connection is not a metaphor. It is a structural reality that governs the flow of your daily vital energy. When you are aligned, the world does not just improve. It becomes a direct extension of your internal sense of peace. You will notice that the people around you begin to act differently as they unconsciously respond to your new frequency. This is the natural gravity of a master who has stopped begging and started simply radiating their own inherent worth. The consequences of ignoring this activation are a descent into a more profound and uncomfortable state of mental and physical fatigue. You cannot unsee the mechanics of the game once the curtain has been pulled back by this specific frequency transmission. Every time you shrink to fit a small room, you are committing an act of violence against your own divinity. The universe is no longer interested in your smallness or your stories about why you cannot yet step into greatness. Feel the pressure of your spine against the chair and recognize the stability of the physical world waiting for your command. Matter is essentially frozen light that only melts and reshapes itself when it encounters a mind that is truly certain. Uncertainty is the only thing that keeps your old gray timeline from dissolving into the brilliance of your new golden one. This shift is not about becoming a better version of your old self, but about ending that version entirely today. You are a portal through which the infinite enters the finite world of form, time, and heavy physical matter. This responsibility is the price of the freedom you have been demanding from the stars since you were a child. There is no one coming to save you, because the Savior is currently the one listening to these very words. A master does mastered things, not because they are special, but because they have stopped pretending to be ordinary and weak. You will find that your needs are met before you even have the time to formulate them into a conscious request. This is the consequence of living as a bridge between dimensions, where the higher laws dictate the lower physical outcomes. If you still feel the need to explain your path to those who are asleep, you are still carrying their weight. Drop the weight of other people's perceptions and walk into the fire of your own inevitable and glorious transformation. The air in the room might feel thicker now, as if the molecules are bracing for the impact of your decision. Your decision is the final seal on the contract between your localized ego and your vast, eternal cosmic identity. The guardians of the grid are watching this specific activation with a level of focused intent that you can barely imagine. You are a crucial node in a much larger network of light that is currently waking up across this entire planet. Your individual alignment is a contribution to the stability of the entire human collective during this chaotic and rapid transition. Do not underestimate the power of a single coherent mind standing in the middle of a world of frantic, incoherent noise. You are the stillness that the storm is trying to find, the point of absolute zero where all creation begins. The lens is sharp, the root is deep, and the path is now glowing with a light that never fades. The old world will try to lure you back with the siren song of familiar drama and safe, predictable failures. Look through those illusions with the Arcturian lens of coherence and refuse to give them the currency of your attention. Your focus is the most valuable resource in this entire galaxy, and it is time you started treating it as such. When you align, the laws of time begin to bend, allowing you to accomplish in days what used to take years. This is not a miracle. It is simply the way reality functions when it is no longer being hindered by doubt. You are the master of the frequency, the architect of the moment, and the sovereign ruler of your own perception. Carry this weight of glory with the grace of one who has finally returned to their rightful place of power. Every breath you take from this moment forward is a declaration of your independence from the old dying matrix system. The silence of the universe is not an absence of sound, but the presence of an infinite and loving intelligence. You are that intelligence in a localized form, testing the limits of what is possible in a body of flesh. The limits were always a lie, a set of training wheels you had forgotten you were wearing for so long. Take them off and feel the exhilaration of moving through life without the constant fear of falling or failing. Success is no longer an objective to be reached, but a resonance that you carry within every cell of your being. You have moved beyond the need for external validation because you have become the very source of all true value. This is the ultimate consequence of the reorganization of your perception. You are finally and completely alone, yet one with everything. In this solitude, you find the absolute freedom to create without the interference of past scripts or future worries. The next phase of your journey is a synthesis of everything you have integrated, a final movement into total mastery. Your life is no longer an accident, but a deliberate and beautiful work of art being painted in real time. We have traversed the layers of your internal architecture, from the roots of your identity to the precision of your new lens. You are no longer the same observer who began this transmission. The shift you seek is not a future arrival, but a present recognition of what has already occurred in your field. Reality has no choice but to conform to the new baseline you have established within your nervous system. The drama of the world is merely the ripples on the surface of your own deep, silent ocean of consciousness. You have stopped begging for the crumbs of manifestation and started presiding over the banquet of your own sovereignty. Feel the absolute stillness in your center, the point where the world ends and your true power begins. This is the synthesis of the human and the divine, the soil and the stars meeting in a single coherent breath. You see now that the obstacles were only the shadows cast by your own hesitation. When you move with total certainty, the shadows vanish because there is no longer a target for them to hit. Your life is a geometric expression of the degree to which you allow your own light to penetrate the density of form. There is no longer a need for effort or the frantic labor of trying to fix a reflection that was never broken. You change the face, and the mirror obeys. It is as simple and as cold as a mathematical equation. This is not a philosophy to be discussed, but a physics to be lived with absolute discipline. Your attention is the only currency that exists in this or any other reality. You are now spending that currency on the realization of your highest, most beautiful timeline. The Arcturian lens of coherence is not a temporary filter, but your new, permanent state of being. You look at lack and you see a choice. You look at abundance and you see your birthright. The gap between your desire and its manifestation is only as wide as the doubt you choose to entertain. Close that gap today by refusing to acknowledge anything that contradicts your internal knowing. You are the source, and the source does not look outside itself for permission to exist or to expand. Feel the tingling in your spine as the new frequency locks into place within your physical structure. Your biology is now an instrument of the divine, a finely tuned vessel for the expression of cosmic will. You move through the world, but you are no longer part of the world's frantic and decaying structures. You are a point of stability in a sea of chaos. People will sense your gravity and be pulled toward their own awakening by simply being in your presence. This is the silent mission of the Master. You do not teach through words, but through the undeniable weight of your own internal alignment. The reorganization of your perception is the only work you were ever sent here to complete. Everything else, the money, the relationships, the health, is merely the response of the field. You do not perform for the response. You perform for the joy of the expression itself. Mastery is the ability to stand in the fire of life without needing to turn down the heat. You have integrated the sabotage and recognized it as the protective yet misguided voice of the old self. You have claimed the identity of the architect and laid the foundation of a life built on grace. The light in your eyes is the light of 1,000 suns, focused through the lens of a single human heart. Breathe and feel the absolute support of the universe in every atom of your body. There is no longer any separation between your will and the movement of the cosmos. You are the wave, and you are the ocean, and you are the wind that moves them both. The old scripts are burning, and their smoke is the incense of your new beginning. Do not look back at the ash. Look forward at the horizon you are creating with your gaze. Your sovereignty is absolute, and your power is only limited by your willingness to use it. This is the end of the search. This is the beginning of the mastery. You are the one you have been waiting for across 1,000 lifetimes of sleep. Wake up and stay awake. The field is ready for your command. The geometry is set. The frequency is locked. Let the crystallization of your new world begin with the very next thought you allow to take root. Stability is your new sanctuary. Every breath you take is a physical affirmation of your sovereign right to exist in total abundance. You have dismantled the illusions of struggle and recognized them as the training wheels of an infant consciousness. Now, as an adult of the spirit, you walk without support because the ground is an extension of your own feet. The silence within you is now louder than the noise of the world outside. Mastery does not require followers, only the absolute recognition of your own reflection in every face you meet. You are no longer correcting a life that was wrong, but selecting a frequency that is true. This distinction is the key to effortless creation. Feel the heat of your own presence, the the radiant warmth of a soul that has finally come home to itself. You are the master of the interval, the space between the cause and the effect. In that space, you have the power to redefine everything. The Arcturian Council has held the space for your awakening, but you are the one who had to step through. There is no pride in this mastery, only a deep and abiding sense of peace. You have replaced the why with the is. You have replaced the how with the now. The world of form will now begin to mirror this simplicity with startling and beautiful efficiency. Notice the patterns of synchronicities that are already starting to cluster around your new resonance. These are not coincidences, but the signposts of a reality that is finally speaking your true language. You are a bridge between the unseen and the seen, the shadow and the light. Your existence is a holy act of translation. Translate abundance into your bank account, love into your home, and health into your cells. You have the codes, and the portal is open. Walk through it with the dignity of a ruler returning to a throne they never truly lost. The crown you wear is made of the coherence of your own thoughts. The scepter you hold is the focus of your own unwavering attention. The kingdom you rule is the experience of your own life. Be a just and powerful ruler. Do not allow the whispers of the old lack to dictate the laws of your new kingdom. You are the supreme authority here. Every cell in your body is a citizen waiting for your instructions on how to vibrate today. Command them with the absolute certainty of a sovereign being. The synthesis is complete. The layers have merged. You are whole. You are complete. You are one. The air around you is thick with the potential of 1,000 miracles. Reach out and touch the fabric of your reality and feel how soft it has become. It is ready to be shaped by your lightest touch and your most subtle intention. Mastery is not about reaching a destination, but about realizing that the destination is the one taking the steps. You were a giant pretending to be a pebble, and the pebble has finally remembered the weight of the mountain. The paradox is finally resolved. The seeker has discovered that the treasure was the one doing the seeking. You cannot unsee the truth once it has been signaled to your heart with this level of mathematical precision. Ultimately, this journey was never about what is coming to you, but about how you perceive what is already here. The world you see is not a fact you must accept, but a frequency you must either confirm or change. To ignore this shift now is to risk losing this degree of attunement, a state of openness that is difficult to regain once lost. The link is in the first pinned comment. Please be aware that this type of content is rarely kept available for long. These insights challenge narratives that many prefer to keep intact, and there have been past attempts to silence this specific knowledge. Do not wait for a right moment. Your arrival here was not an accident, and the time for your decision is now. If something within you recognizes this truth, read with an open mind and comment "Desperto" to signal your readiness.